It's an uncomfortable truth most men over 60 don't talk about. You notice it in the quiet moments, maybe first thing in the morning or late at night when you're lying in bed next to your partner. Things just aren't the same down there as they used to be. You're not alone, my friend. Millions of men experience the same changes: slower circulation, weaker responses, less firmness. And it's not just about intimacy. It's about confidence, vitality, and feeling like yourself again. I had a patient named Robert, 72 years old, retired electrician, the kind of man who could fix anything in your house without breaking a sweat. But when he came to see me, he wasn't here to talk about home repairs. He was worried, embarrassed, and frankly frustrated. He said, "Doc, I can still work hard in my garden, I can still climb a ladder, but when it comes to the bedroom, well, the power just isn't flowing." I'm Dr. Nolan Easton, and for over 30 years, I've helped men just like Robert address exactly these kinds of concerns. My focus has always been on men's health, especially after 60, because I believe this stage of life should be full of strength, joy, and deep connection, not quiet frustration. And in today's conversation, I want to share something that might surprise you. There are certain foods, specific natural foods you can eat at night that can help boost circulation down there. This isn't magic, it's about science, smart choices, and supporting your body's natural ability to respond. Now you might be thinking, why at night? Well, there's a good reason. Your body is always working, even while you sleep. In fact, nighttime is when your blood vessels repair, your hormones reset, and your circulation can be primed for the next day. If we give the body the right fuel before bed, we can enhance that repair process, improve blood flow to the most important areas, and over time, restore some of that youthful vitality. When Robert first came to see me, he'd already tried a couple of the usual over-the-counter options. They gave him short bursts of improvement, but the side effects left him feeling worse the next day. That's a common story. The truth is, quick fixes rarely address the underlying issue: poor circulation in the smallest blood vessels, the ones that matter most for performance and responsiveness. So instead of another pill, I asked Robert about his evening routine. Turns out, dinner was often his last meal of the day, around 5:30 or 6 o'clock, then nothing until breakfast. Here's the problem with that. If your body goes all night without certain key nutrients, you miss an opportunity to support vascular health. And vascular health is the foundation of performance health. So we made a small change. I introduced him to a specific nighttime snack, something delicious, simple, and full of compounds that encourage blood vessels to open up, carry more oxygen-rich blood, and help the body's plumbing system work more efficiently. Now, this isn't about eating big meals late at night. That can cause digestive trouble and make it harder to sleep. It's about targeted nourishment. Imagine giving your garden a little water right before the sun comes up. It's more likely to soak in and benefit the roots. That's what we're doing for your circulation, but inside your body. Before I tell you what Robert started eating, let me ask, have you noticed changes in your circulation or energy down there after 60? If you're nodding your head right now, or even just thinking, maybe, do me a favor. Tap that like button, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell so you'll be notified when I share more senior health tips like this. And in the comments, just type yes or no. Do you feel like your circulation could use a boost? I read those answers, and your feedback helps me tailor advice to what you really need. Robert was a little skeptical when I told him about this snack. He said, "Doc, how's a piece of food gonna fix my circulation?" But after 3 weeks, he walked back into my office with a grin. He said, "I don't know if it's coincidence, but things are waking up again." And it wasn't just in the bedroom. He noticed his morning walks felt easier, his legs didn't cramp as much, and he was sleeping more soundly. What changed? The answer starts with something simple. Your blood vessels are lined with a special layer called the endothelium. Think of it like the smooth inner surface of a pipe. When you're young, it's flexible. It opens wide when you need more blood flow, and it keeps everything moving. But as we age, that surface can get stiff or damaged, which makes it harder for blood to travel efficiently, especially to the most delicate areas. Certain natural foods contain compounds that help relax and widen those vessels while protecting them from further wear and tear. Eat them at the right time, and you give your body exactly what it needs when it's doing its nightly repair work. Now, before we get into the specifics of what's on the plate, it's important to understand this isn't just about one meal or one night. Just like exercise builds muscle over time, these foods build better circulation over time. You might not notice a dramatic change after the first night, but give it consistent attention and you could see a real difference in how you feel, move, and respond. I remember sitting in my office with Robert looking at his latest checkup results after a couple of months on his new routine. His blood pressure had improved, his resting heart rate was lower, and his overall energy was up. He told me he'd been dancing with his wife again, something they hadn't done in years because his legs used to tire too quickly. The spark was back in more ways than one, and it all started with making his evenings count. The beauty of this approach is that it's safe, natural, and actually enjoyable. No complicated recipes, no expensive supplements, just real food, in the right amount, at the right time. And when you get that circulation going again, it's not just your performance that benefits. Your heart, your brain, your muscles, everything works better when blood flow is strong. So if you're sitting there thinking you've missed your chance or that these changes are just part of getting older, let me tell you, I've seen men in their late 70s and even early 80s improve their circulation with simple steps like this. You're not too old and it's not too late. Robert's story isn't unique. I've had dozens of patients tell me the same thing. Once they start fueling their body at night with the right nutrients, the difference is noticeable. It's about giving your body the tools it needs to keep those small, crucial blood vessels open and responsive. And while the physical benefits are wonderful, the emotional boost is just as important. Feeling capable, confident, and connected again, it changes how you carry yourself, how you interact with your partner, and how much joy you get from life. That's why I'm passionate about sharing this information. Too many men suffer in silence, thinking nothing can be done. But in my 30 decades of practice, I've learned that the body is remarkably responsive, even after 60, if we give it the right conditions.
Robert wasn't a man who loved change. Like a lot of us, he had his habits, his favorites, and his don't mess with my routine moments. But when we talked about adding this evening step, I told him he wouldn't have to overhaul his life, just make a few simple swaps and additions. The goal wasn't to eat more, but to eat smarter in those last few hours before bed. The first thing we looked at was how to support nitric oxide production in the body. That might sound technical, but it's simply a natural molecule your body makes to help blood vessels relax and open up. Without enough of it, circulation slows, especially in those smaller arteries and capillaries that matter most for performance. And the easiest way to boost nitric oxide naturally? Certain plant-based foods, rich in nitrates, antioxidants, and amino acids. I started Robert on a small bowl of fresh sliced beets about an hour after dinner. Now, before you wrinkle your nose, hear me out. Beets are naturally sweet, easy to prepare, and they have an amazing ability to support circulation. They also work beautifully with your body's natural overnight repair cycle. Robert wasn't thrilled at first, but when I suggested roasting them lightly with a drizzle of olive oil and a pinch of sea salt, he came around. Within a week, it was his favorite part of the evening. We paired that with a handful of walnuts, another quiet powerhouse for men's health. Walnuts are rich in omega-3 fatty acids and L-arginine, both of which help support flexible blood vessels. The healthy fats also slow digestion just enough so that those nutrients are released steadily into the bloodstream overnight. For men over 60, that kind of sustained nourishment can make a noticeable difference over time. But I didn't stop there. I wanted Robert to get a small dose of natural flavonoids before bed as well. These are compounds that protect the inner lining of blood vessels. So I suggested a couple squares of dark chocolate, at least 70% cocoa. He laughed and said, "You're telling me chocolate is good for me now?" And yes, in moderation, dark chocolate can be a wonderful part of this circulation-boosting routine. It was the first time I'd seen him genuinely excited about doctor's orders. After 2 weeks, Robert told me something interesting. "Doc, I don't know if it's in my head, but I feel warmer in my feet at night, and I don't wake up with that cold feeling anymore." That's actually a great sign. Warmer extremities often mean improved blood flow. And when you're improving circulation to your hands and feet, you're also improving it to more intimate areas. Now, if you're listening to this and thinking, "I'm not much of a beet person," that's okay. There are other nighttime foods with similar benefits. Pomegranate seeds, blueberries, even a warm cup of hibiscus tea before bed can all support the same circulation pathways. The point isn't to force yourself into eating something you hate. It's to choose from a menu of options that deliver the same benefits and fit into your life comfortably. Robert and I also talked about what to avoid before bed. Heavy, greasy meals can make it harder for blood to flow efficiently. Too much alcohol can temporarily widen blood vessels, but over time, it actually damages that delicate lining and worsens circulation. And caffeine too late in the evening? That can tighten blood vessels and interfere with sleep, both big enemies of healthy performance. One thing I emphasize to all my patients, especially after 60, is that sleep and circulation are partners. When you sleep well, your body repairs and strengthens those tiny blood vessels. When you don't, the damage builds up, and even the best diet can't fully counteract it. That's why this nighttime circulation boost works best when paired with a calm, regular sleep routine. Robert started winding down earlier, turning off his TV 30 minutes before bed and sipping his hibiscus tea while he read. Those small changes added up quickly. If you've been feeling a little more sluggish in the bedroom, or even just in your daily walks, ask yourself, could my nighttime habits be helping or hurting my circulation? It's a simple question, but an important one. If what I'm saying resonates with you, take a second to hit that like button. It really helps get these tips out to more men who might be quietly dealing with the same challenges. And don't forget to subscribe and tap the bell so you don't miss the next time we talk about these senior health strategies. By week 4, Robert noticed something his wife commented on before he did. She told him, "You've got more energy in the mornings." He was waking up feeling rested, ready, and more responsive, both physically and emotionally. And here's the part that made him light up when he told me. Intimacy no longer felt like a chore or a disappointment. The connection was back, and with it, his confidence. That's one of the most powerful things about focusing on circulation. It's not just about function, it's about how you feel in your skin, your relationships, and your day-to-day life. Stronger circulation supports your muscles, your brain, your heart, and yes, your performance down there. When all of that starts to improve, it changes your outlook entirely. I remember telling Robert at his follow-up, "You've just proven that small, consistent actions make a big difference, no matter your age." And I believe that's true for every man listening right now. Whether you start with beets, walnuts, pomegranate, or another option, the key is to make it a regular part of your evening. Give it time, and let your body do the rest while you sleep. The changes won't happen overnight, but when they do start showing, you'll wonder why you didn't try it sooner. And the best part? You'll be fueling your body in a way that benefits your entire health, not just one part of it. By the time Robert had been following his nighttime routine for 3 months, the changes were undeniable, not just to him, but to everyone around him. His friends at the community center noticed he had more spring in his step. His wife told me privately, "He's smiling again, like he did when we were younger." And when Robert sat in my office for his quarterly checkup, he leaned back in the chair with a confidence I hadn't seen since our first meeting. "Doc," he said, "I don't think this is just about beets and walnuts anymore. I feel better all over." And he was right. That's the beautiful ripple effect of improving circulation. It touches every system in your body. His blood pressure was steady, his lab work showed improved cholesterol balance, and his morning energy was strong enough that he'd started doing light yard work before breakfast. Here's something most men over 60 don't realize. When you get more oxygen-rich blood flowing consistently to your muscles, brain, and vital organs, you're not just helping your intimate life. You're lowering your risk for heart trouble, improving your memory, and boosting your overall stamina. That's why I tell my patients, if you take care of your circulation, it will take care of you. Robert's progress was so encouraging that we added one more layer to his nightly routine.
gentle stretching before bed. This wasn't about sweating or pushing limits. It was about loosening the muscles and joints so blood could move freely. 10 minutes of slow, deliberate movement, touching his toes, rolling his shoulders, a few standing calf stretches, helped keep his vessels open and responsive. It also made it easier for him to fall asleep, which, as I've said before, is a huge partner in repairing blood flow. One evening, Robert told me that he'd taken his wife dancing again at a neighbor's party. It wasn't the fast-paced two-stepping they used to do in their 20s, but they moved together to a slow song, and he didn't feel winded or embarrassed. That moment, he said, was worth every beet slice and every cup of hibiscus tea. If you've been listening to this and thinking, I could never stick to something like that, I want you to remember, Robert wasn't a health nut when we started. He was a man who just wanted to feel like himself again. And he didn't change everything all at once. He made one small improvement, stuck with it, and then added another when it felt natural. That's how lasting habits are built, and that's how real results happen, especially after 60, when your body responds best to steady, gentle changes instead of sudden, drastic ones. Now, I want to be clear, no single food or habit is going to undo decades of wear and tear overnight. But when you combine smart nutrition with light movement, good sleep, and a bit of patience, the benefits compound. And once you start seeing those benefits, it becomes easier and more enjoyable to keep going. Robert's wife also noticed another change she didn't expect. He was more patient, less irritable. That's another hidden benefit of improving circulation. Better blood flow to the brain can mean more stable moods and clearer thinking. It's not just about the body, it's about the mind and spirit too. If you're still with me here, it tells me you care about your health and your future. Do me a quick favor, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and tap the bell icon so you won't miss the advice I share every week. And leave a yes in the comments if you'd be willing to try even one of these nighttime habits. I personally read these, and they help me understand how to best serve you in future videos. One thing I always tell my patients is that you should measure success in more than one way. Robert's numbers were better, blood pressure, cholesterol, resting heart rate, but he also felt stronger when climbing stairs, more relaxed when spending time with his grandchildren, and more connected with his wife. Those are victories too. He even told me about a conversation he'd had with his younger brother, who was skeptical. "You're telling me some beets and nuts fixed your love life?" his brother teased. Robert just smiled and said, "It fixed a lot more than that." That's when I knew the change had truly taken root, not just in his body, but in his outlook on life. The truth is, many men think they have to accept the decline in circulation and performance as an unavoidable part of aging. But I've seen too many examples, like Robert's, to believe that's true. The body is resilient. Even after 60, 70, or 80, it responds to the care you give it. And once you start improving circulation, the improvements touch everything from your walking speed to your memory recall to how warm your hands and feet feel on a cold night. When Robert came in for his most recent appointment, we reviewed his progress and looked ahead. I told him the next step was simply to keep going, to maintain what he'd built. That's another thing about circulation. It thrives on consistency. Stop the good habits, and things can slowly slip back. Keep them going, and you can enjoy the benefits for years to come. Before he left that day, Robert shook my hand firmly and said, "Doc, I came to you hoping for a spark. You gave me a fire." That's exactly what I do, and why I want every man listening to know there's still so much you can do to feel alive, connected, and confident again.